Welcome everybody. Before I just want to, if we can ground in some breathing together, we're going to take 3 breaths. The first is around presence, the second is around intentionality, and the third is around agency. So if you want to just ground your body, make sure your feet are in the earth, be aware of your tensions, release any that you can. And together, to fill our diaphragm, we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. And acknowledge that we are all connected in here and alive, and breathe out. We are present. Now with intentionality, take a second, deeper, longer, more controlled inhale. And hold and release with more intentionality. And this third breath, I invite you to take on your own pace, acknowledging your agency as a singular being connected to all of these life forces around you.
Thank you all for inviting us and allowing us to be here. Thank you to the family, the CTJC family, for allowing us to participate in this moment. We're very clear that we don't get to just walk into your lives. We're allowed to be in space with you all, and for that we're thankful. Damon used a really important word. Damon said ashe. Folks familiar with ashe? Yeah. The word ashe comes from Yoruba tradition. It is the understanding that the supreme deity possesses ashe. And whenever there's a human being who is brought to life, that supreme deity breathes ashe, the essence of life, into that body. And so everyone, when we come to life, when we come in community, we come bearing the spirit of the divine. That means you are sacred. You are sacred. Every living, breathing, moving body is sacred. And it's the work of the community to affirm that sacred nature. It's the work of the community to say, I see the presence of God moving in you. What are your gifts that you bring for the community? And so when I say, or you say, I say, it is a word that carries power. But remember, words are indeed power. So when we say I say, it's offering our life force power to the moment and to the other person.
I should.
And I think that's critical in a world that will say that some people are more valuable than others. Furthermore, ashe is everlasting. Just because someone transitions from this realm to the next does not mean that they cease to exist. It means that they've left their physical body, but their spirit lingers on. Furthermore, that spirit becomes a part of the continuum of life. Our spirits didn't come from nowhere. We did not come from nowhere. We came from our ancestors. And so I want to begin our time, first of all, pouring out a libation on this sacred ground that has already been consecrated to healing. Pouring out water on this sacred ground to affirm our ancestors, to thank them for their lives. But I'm going to invite you to call the names of your ancestors, and they don't have to be only your blood relatives. There's what we call sometimes the great cloud of witnesses, the ancestors in the cultural surround. So one of the first ancestors I'm going to call is Audre Lorde. And after each pour and after each name, we say ashe in affirmation. So Audre Lorde.
Ashe.
Join the circle. Everybody starts ashe.
Doris Watson.
Ashe.
Luella Stewart.
Ashe.
Samuel Sims.
Ashe.
Geraldine Patton.
Ashe.
Robert Watson.
Ashe.
Gary Frank.
Ashe. And so as we create this space together, as we bring our collective ashe together in this space, we acknowledge the full humanity of the people whose names we called. We don't need to make them perfect. to have loved them or to have been loved by them. We also don't necessarily have to always like them to call their names in remembrance. This is about the full human experience. And so I understand that we've asked people to either bring an item that reminds us of an ancestor. So you can write the name and whatever else you want to bring up to this altar space. And so you're welcome to come up here, share what you would or not. If you need a moment of silence as the community bears witness to your moment, you're free to do that.
I thought about the mothers of the black struggle. Often they portray the man as being the vocal spokesperson, the leader, the charismatic leader, the navigator and the pioneer. But since I've returned home, I continue to encounter black women who have been consistently paving the road for not justice for individuals on a personal level, but for a mass of people.
And I normally prioritize my mother's mother, Doris Watson. But recently, Big Ma, Lee Flora Colbert, my dad's mother, has been like, oh, wait a minute, sister. She ain't the only one that laid the ground for you. And I picked the leaves because of the fragrance, because it was through the memory of thinking about Christmas and the way she would come to bed with me after picking 120 pounds of chitlin. And she would throw her arms around me and smell like chitlin and bleach. And that was the worst smell as a kid. But when it came to me the other day, it was the sweetest smell ever. Because I remembered that moment when she would just hold me. And I am grateful for being reminded that not only is my mother's mother present with me, but so is my father's mother.
But I put my dad's name and my grandmother's name on this paper. But I want to talk about like the togetherness that I feel when I'm around you all, and how I also want to talk about depression and trauma and different things that people deal with and don't never want to talk about it.
But two names I did put here, and that was my great nephew Pierre Laurie, who was killed by police in 2016 on my father's birthday. And my father was like a king among men, and everybody loved my father. And so for Pierre to get killed on his birthday, you know, that devastated our family, because we was like, we celebrated that day. So when he got killed on that day, we were like, what happened? And I remember a good friend telling me, she was like, Arewa, she said, the only thing happened was, she said, you know, your daddy came and got Pierre. You know, she's like, that's just some universal symbolism that happened. So that kind of brought me some peace and solace. But, you know, he's still not with us anymore. And it still hurts, and trauma is real. And not just this current trauma we're in, that ancestral trauma that we never talk about. That we have from our ancestors that is still resonating in us.
We're gonna close out our time together with an opportunity to be in this ground. Again, an invitation, not a mandate. And before we do that, I want to offer a few words about the significance of engaging in this kind of rich and vibrant remembering, but what it means to be doing it in this particular moment in time. As our collective reflections have lifted up, we are drawing on many different kinds of cultural and spiritual and even religious traditions that honor ancestors, and those are distinct and unique, and it's good to honor the uniqueness of each of those. We have a foundation of memory and power and love and resilience and heartache and trauma and loss that extends many generations. And it's with all of that that we step into this season of remembering. There's a writer named Cynthia Oselli who says, for a seed or for a bulb to achieve its greatest expression, it must come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. And I invite us to think about this planting as two things, both an offering and an intention. So for the offering to these ancestors that we've named, and also the ancestors we haven't named, how will you keep their legacy alive? That's our offering. With that, we bring our intentions. What are you planting for you? What do you need in this moment? What do you need from this cloud of witnesses, from these saints, from these angels? What do you need for this moment and for those who come after you? And what might you need to let go of, to let die, to let be buried in the ground? What needs to go in the ground so it can crack open, to be undone, for growth to happen? I hear the love of those who have loved me.
Who have loved me.